people are tuning in. This is exciting. Welcome, everybody, to the second episode of Real Talk with me, Emma G. Paul's here. Awesome. Hey, Paul. And I want to do a quick thank you to everybody who has been awesome over the last 3, 4, 5 million years that we've been on quarantine. As us creative humans try to navigate how to connect and spread as much love and joy and sunshine across the world as possible during this weird as fuck time.
We can swear? I had no idea. Now I'm super excited. Woo! Yay!
No, it's great. It's great. So for those of you who checked in with me on Saturday, I had a great conversation with Dr. JJ Kelly, and it went so well that I was like, you know what? There's more to me as a musician than just playing music. So I reached out to some of my nearest and dearest, and I decided it was time for us to spread some sunshine, spread some love. So I'm super pumped that the goddess that is Denise Anderson is here, joining me virtually from Canada to spread some sunshine, spread some empowerment, spread some equality across this crazy world. And Brian has just joined us. Jenny's here. If you're here, please say hey. I think I only get notified when like my friends join. So if we're not connected on Facebook and you want to like make your presence known, or you have a question for either of us, please type it in the chat below. So yeah, Denise, do you want to tell the world who you are?
Tell the world who I am. Jeez, okay. Well, let's see. Yeah, no, that's awesome. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me here to speak with you and to connect in this way. You are a near and dear friend of mine. Yeah, just from the moment that I met you, heard you sing, heard your voice, I was touched so deeply. And as you know, we had this immediate connection. So having you in my life is such an honor, and it's just a lot of fun to be here with you. And yeah, you know, I am an author and a coach and a public speaker. Mm-hmm. I have recently created my own signature program and retreats, which I'm really excited about. And it deals a lot with the masculine and the feminine energy and bringing those energies together, you know, a divine sacred marriage between those two energies. And, you know, I really want to get into this conversation today with you about what's happening right now and the structures that are falling down. This conversation is going to lend itself into what is actually going on today, which is scary for so many people. I mean, my heart just goes out to everybody who's experiencing so much, you know, deep emotional roller coaster rides, losing family and loved ones, and just that fear of the unknown. You know, that's actually a chapter that I wrote about in my book, is uncertainty.
That's really
exactly cool. What we're facing, you know, deep uncertainty.
It's interesting because like growing up in New Zealand, there's a huge what's the word, like emphasis, I think, and like especially in Maori culture, which is the indigenous culture of New Zealand, on the masculine roles in the community as well as the feminine roles here in the community. And I have felt myself as I've lived here in the States, and I've not lived in Canada, but I feel like I've heard that New Zealand's like the Canada to Australia, so I feel like we're both on a similar kind of, you know, whatever. But you know, I feel like since living in the States, especially living in the capital, I've kind of lost a lot of the balance of the feminine energy to the masculine energy of like hustle and grind and do all the things that like I forget to like just feel and live and experience. And so this whole quarantine and COVID nonsense, it's diabolical, it's crazy, it's weird, but it's also been like for me, a really beautiful opportunity to like re-examine and reconnect with those feminine parts of myself. Like I'm writing music again, Denise. Do you know how long it's been since I've written a song?
No, how long?
Like before, I think, like I wrote a song, like obviously I wrote Living Proof on New Year's Eve,
Right.
but I before that it had been like 3 months, and now I'm writing them every 3 days.
Wow, I'm super excited to hear that because I know how brilliant your music is, but I can totally relate to that. I can totally relate. Like my creative energy is just, it's just flowing. Like I'm writing, creating programs. I'm wanting to paint. I am out in nature. I'm wanting to connect with nature, family, friends, and really just like soothe and arouse my senses, you know, smelling and baking and cooking. And it's been a real, like you said, a real change of gears in the energy of just like, it's okay to fall into that energy of the feminine energy. And the feelings. For sure. For sure. And I think that's where a lot of the struggle is coming from. It's like people are having to redefine and rediscover who they are when they're not working, when they aren't just, they apply a title to who they are, or they don't have this role that they're playing. It's just this feeling of, who am I now, and what am I supposed to do? And it's driving people crazy.
Yeah, you're right. Like I don't know. Again, like I don't know. I've only been to Canada like maybe 5 times.
Well, you're gonna have to come visit me. So
I think so. As soon as this quarantine's over, I am in there. Like
your butt over here. Okay.
But I feel like, at least in DC particularly, everyone you meet, it's like, hi, what do you do for a job? And so I like to fuck with people, and I'm like, oh, I sell love for a living, or or whatever. But you're right. Like we put so much emphasis on our status, that we forget to, like, I don't know, at least when I was a child, I was like, oh, you've got eyes? I have eyes. Let's like connect eyes and be friends.
Right, exactly. And so, when you say that, it's like when we are identifying with our work or some sort of structure, we interact with each other from that like facade, from that place. When you remove it, there's so much more intimacy. Right, intimacy, because we're not, filtered through this structure or through this masculine energy of what we think defines us. It's like, okay, without that gone, so who am I, and what do I want to talk to you about now? How do we want to connect when we're not here trying to figure everything out and plan and organize and build, and there's a time and a place for all of that. Again, it's not about negating one energy over another. It's about emerging. We need both. We need both, right? And I like to describe it, well, in a couple of ways. One of my favorite ways of describing it is like a river and a riverbank. So the riverbank is the masculine energy. It's the structure. It's what holds us and supports us. And the river's like the feminine energy, right? It's flowing. It's got rapids and it's moving and it's gushing up against the sides of the riverbank. But when those structures are solid and secure, our energies and our feelings can flow and be free to express and create. What's happening right now, Emma, is those structures have crumbled. So the things that we've come to rely on in the way that we're relating to work, one another, schools, all of that, it's crumbling. Well, it's not even existing right now, right? Lots of us are not going to work, or the children aren't going to school. So then our energy is like, what are we supposed to do, and where are we supposed to go? There's not that structure.
How do you think we lost it? How do we get here?
How did we get here? Well, I call like what we were doing before the profane masculine. So the profane masculine rules from control, dominance, having control over another person. So like corporations that aren't coming from the best, the good of all. It was a mentality, an energy, I like to say, of me, myself, and I. How can I make the most money, be the best, be number one? And I don't care who or what I have to squash to get there.
Right.
Right. So that's not going to continue working. And we see where that energy has gotten us.
It's interesting because I feel like I recognize that a lot of people consider that the masculine energy, but I definitely know that I've got it and I've had it.
Totally. And you know what? I really want to preface this conversation, because by saying masculine energy does not mean a man. It's an energy, and it's in me, and it's in you, and it's in everyone. Right. Feminine energy is an energy. It doesn't mean female per se. It's an energy. So people need to think about this as energy, and it's like, it's not men against women. Like, oh my God, no, that's old paradigm crap, bullshit. Can we please stop that? Like, really what this is stopping the war. Like, let's end the war between, you know, the men and the women. We are on the same side. We have this energy within us, right? Yeah. So really the balancing comes balancing that energy inside of each individual. This is the work I believe we're being called to do while in isolation. It's not about let's figure out how do we fix things out there. It's what am I aligning inside of me and balancing those energies. Mm-hmm. It's right. And then the war inside of us, those energies that are at war with each other, the war ends in me, thus ending war out here. We can't go outside of ourselves to end war. We have to end the war inside of ourselves.
I like that. Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that I've been, as I was saying before we went live, one of the ways that I'm choosing, because, and again, I went over this with JJ Kelly on on Saturday, is like, I have a tendency to cover things with a Band-Aid, and that Band-Aid is music, or that Band-Aid is like laughing hysterically or being that crazy person, or whatever. And so like now that I'm inside all the time, or going, you know, I'm still doing my thing, but right. You know, like I'm having to really confront those ugly parts of myself that I've kind of been hiding behind a microphone or behind a guitar. You know what I mean? And I like, or I mean, to be fair, I do also write songs about the ugly, but they sound pretty because it's music.
You just put a little bow on top of it.
Yeah. Right. So like for people who aren't musicians, or who are musicians who are struggling with that, like what do you feel is, I don't know, like where do we even start? How do you make friends with letting go of control? I saw this great meme the other day. It's like, relax, man, nothing's in control, which I thought was
well, there's so much truth in that, right? We're letting go of the illusion that we were ever in control.
Word.
Right? So we're really just waking up to the fact of like, wow, damn, I was never in control. So let's just wake up from the dream and get with reality. We're not in control. We're not in control, right?
There's something beautiful about that, right?
Immensely, especially when we arrive with the feminine energy that is intuitive. Yeah. Here's something I did on a walk today, because I knew we were doing this call. So I was really thinking about the masculine and the feminine and how are we going to play with that today. And so I literally came to a cross in the road. I was on my walking path, and there was two different ways that I can go. So the masculine tends to think like, okay, which way should I go? Well, this way would be shorter, but this way I would see this. This would give me that. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to stop and feel energetically, which way do I want to go? Does that energy inside of me, where am I being drawn? Where am I being pulled? It was so strong to go to the right. Now, I don't know why I went to the right. It didn't make any sense, but I just followed that. That's a hard thing to trust. To live life from not having to have things figured out, to not always, people always think they want to have their ducks in a row. I just wait till I get my ducks in a row. There's no ever getting your ducks in a row. Like it's not going to happen. Like it's impossible, right? Again, that's another illusion that you're going to get your ducks in a row and then I'm going to do this and then this will happen. So it's like learning to really trust that energy inside of you and to feel, use your intuition. So again, when you said, how did we get here? All of that has been lost. It wasn't revered or respected. It was disregarded. It was ostracized, criticized, made fun of.
Right.
It's like, well, that's just silly. That's just, that's not important. That's not how we're going to get.
Woo-woo. Let's woo-woo. It's crazy talk. You goddamn happy?
Yeah. God, if I had $1 for every time I was called crazy, I would have millions of dollars.
How many bucks is
literally millions. So, hey, here's us crazy bitches. Okay. Here's being crazy. So, how do we get back then? How do we rebuild these structures without building the same shit that we built before? Right. Because I'm not excited to get out of quarantine and go back to the way it was and go back to what we were doing. Like, no, thank you. No, thank you. Right. How long is it going to take for us to reflect inside and ask that question? How are we going to rebuild? So start with yourself. How am I going to rebuild and restructure my life from a different energy? Relaxing from the masculine energy, relaxing. Yeah. Emma, when I started working with I worked for 5 years with a spiritual mentor, and it was when I started doing meditation, right? So I'm like, oh, I can do this. And I had a very tons of masculine energy growing up, like a lot of masculine energy. And I needed it for various reasons, different things that happened in my life. I needed to protect myself and guard myself and things like that. So I never lost that energy, right? I always was in this fight or flight energy of protection or guarding myself, right? So anywho, so I met this guru, and he's like, okay, I'll send you your first meditation. It was 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, I can do this. Okay, so shut my eyes. Okay, are we done? That's probably 5 minutes? No? Okay, all right, let's do it again. Okay, like literally, Emma, the energy inside of me was just like vibrating. It was like, let's just get up. I wanted to go and do something. Let's get up. It's like I was dying, like to sit still. And this is why people have a hard time with what's going on right now, because to sit still brings you really close to death. How you it brings you the closest you will come to dying without physically dying.
That's a really okay. Now, real talk. I have nearly died, actually, literally nearly died several times. So that's okay.
Yeah, right.
So many surgeries, and I still have nightmares about it from time to time.
But, oh my God, how scary!
That's a really, really good point. We just okay, cool.
And I could feel it. I could feel that fear and that energy, and it was just like, I don't want to sit here anymore. I don't want to be quiet. My nervous system was just like going off. And it was just like, as it starts to quiet, it's like, because out here we're defining ourselves. So when you meditate, when you get quiet and still, so now I'm not a wife, I'm not a mother, I'm not out making money, I'm not planning, I'm not organizing, I'm not speaking, I'm not, who am I? Oh, I'm falling away. And we go into like the death of the self.
Yeah.
Another really cool thing that I did was I grew up in this really small town. And so I bought a flotation tank. Have you ever floated? A flotation tank with the water and all the Epsom salts. And then it's like really dark in there. And then you just float on the water.
That sounds intimidating.
Oh, as fuck, girlfriend. Like people freaked out in there. This is what it is. So
is it more how many people are in it?
Not just one. Okay. And so my particular one was like 7 feet long and maybe 4 feet wide. So so you open the lid and you literally crawl in, and then there's only 6 inches of water and 500 pounds of Epsom salts. So you are deprived. They're also called sensory deprivation tanks. So your ears are underwater. You can't hear anything. It's completely black. You don't see anything. You're in water floating. The water's the same temperature as your body. You don't feel anything. There's no smell. So you were literally robbed and deprived of all your senses.
And why would you do this to yourself?
To find myself. Crazy, because I'm crazy. Yeah. So imagine what the people in my town were just like, where did this spaceship come? Oh, it's the crazy lady, crazy lady.
Okay. Oh, so you own it.
I did. I don't anymore. But when I was running my practice before, yeah, I was doing coaching, energetic massage, and the flotation tank.
Okay.
Amazing. So yeah, going back to being still, and again, why I'm prefacing this is because this is what is happening. It's an outward expression of like a sensory deprivation, like getting quiet, getting still. What comes up? All your shit.
Yeah.
All the shit that you are avoiding, feeling, seeing, becoming aware of by our busyness, drinking, eating, having sex, whatever we're doing, a million things to avoid that uncomfortable shit that comes up that we've got very deep inside of us. So you sit in that tank, you do your meditation, you sit in silence, you just take it easy throughout the day. Welcome to fun. Welcome to the funny farm.
That's funny. So I don't know if I've told you this, but I recently started coaching artists here in the DMV region. Sorry, DMV is not the Department of Motor Vehicles. That's the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, just to clarify.
That's so funny because when I went to Washington, I didn't know about all that stuff. And I said to my cab driver, I'm like, am I in the wrong state? I thought maybe I'd gone to the wrong Washington.
Oh no.
Like, I don't think I'm in the right state. And anyways, I got educated when I was there. I'm not geographically inclined.
I love it. So yeah, so one of the exercises that I do with like the members of the Capital Group Collective and the members of like whoever I'm coaching is I sit there for about 5 minutes and I'm like, who are you? And they're like, oh, my name is Bob the Goldfish. I'm like, cool, Bob the Goldfish, who are you? They're like, I'm a blah. I'm like, those are titles you're giving yourself, cool. Who are you? And we do this back and forth until they're less like, motherfucker, like, no, like real talk. Who are you? And it's intense. There is some people just don't like. We walk around with these labels we give ourselves. We don't know how to love ourselves underneath the layers.
Right. Yeah. And we're so afraid of it because we don't even know what's there. Again, people are avoiding this experience. And here's what's crazy. Besides me and you, this is crazier than Denise and Emma. Trust me. Crazier is what's underneath it is what we really want and what we're searching for. All the activities that we're doing, we're always searching for a feeling, right? We're looking for connection. We're looking for intimacy. We want that, that merging, that marriage, that like, who am I? So what we end up discovering is what all this craziness is about. So if we actually just stopped, and yeah, here's the big F word, feel. We'd have to stop and feel.
That is not the F word I was thinking you were going to say.
No, I use the other F word a lot, but this time, this is a bigger swear word for people than God. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Not even kidding. Not even kidding. It's a bigger swear word. People are avoiding the feeling. So how do they do it? They busy themselves in their work. They avoid this moment, right? That's what they're avoiding, this moment, because whatever you're feeling, it's right here, right now, and they don't want to be here. People have so much trouble being here. Did you know the only place you ever need to be is right here? Just in this moment.
Yeah.
But the reason we want to get out of this moment is because of the way it feels. So we either go towards something or we try to push away from something, right? I'm going to run to this feeling. Oh, I like this, so I'm going to run to that. Oh, I don't like that. Okay, no. So we're always guarding ourselves.
Yeah.
We're protecting. We're either guarding and protecting, or we're attacking. I don't want that, so I cut the head off, or I'm going to protect myself from that. So what this process does is you're able to sit with whatever's here, but it really is about an opening of the heart, right? To let those feelings come in, transmute those feelings, right? Just let them burn off. Let them in Sanskrit, there's a word called samskara. So samskara stands for where our energy gets stored. So we have experiences, trauma in our childhood, and things that happen throughout life. That energy literally gets stored in our nervous system. That's what you're feeling. So a feeling comes up and it gets intense, right? Have you ever had something happen and the emotion that you're feeling seems way off base for what's just actually happened? Like, say you just
all the time.
you dropped an apple and it's like, oh my God, your house just got set on fire.
Yeah, no, all the time.
yeah. So we get triggered. So a samskara, or a trigger point, something gets triggered inside of you. So it doesn't really matter what the outside thing that has happened that triggers you, it's that you're triggered. But here's how we also avoid that feeling, is we focus on the thing that triggered us. So we sit here and we talk all day about COVID-19, and then did you know about this person, and blah, blah, blah. That's another way to avoid having to sit with your shit. Because you're talking about it all and you get caught up in the statistics, and you're just watching the news and you're talking about the story. But the truth is, you got some shit going on the inside.
Yeah.
And if you didn't busy yourself with all of that, or preoccupy yourself with that, you'd be feeling this.
This is one of the reasons why it always amuses me when I have people over and they're like, Emma, where's your TV? And I'm like, do I need one of those? I'm busy enough with
I know
my life that I don't want to busy myself more. I don't want to, get consumed by X, Y, and Z. Just because you're right. We need to be able to sit in our silence. To your previous point, you just reminded me of this beautiful quote that I stumbled across when I was in Spain. I'm also terrible at meditation. I'm trying to get better at it, but I was doing a guided meditation with a woman in Barcelona, and she said this quote which damn near broke me to tears, which was, you are love, you are loved, and everything you could possibly need lives within you. And I'm like, holy crap, that was the day my life changed.
That is powerful, right?
Right?
Yeah.
So, this is, for me, at least being on quarantine, I'm like, I feel, despite all the uncertainty and anxiety of when's my next paycheck coming through, because, we don't have one of those when you're a musician or self-employed. But it's just an opportunity to get back into touch with that love that I have been ditching. And believe me, for DC styles, DC, as far as DC goes, I am as loving as you could possibly get without being in an asylum. But but even still, I know that I have more. So,
I love
the circle's real.
Totally. Well, so I actually was able, because of the flotation tank and literally being there in silence, I would literally lay in there for 3 hours sometimes, fall asleep and have transcendental experiences, experience beyond the physical, right? Because the physical just doesn't exist in that reality anymore, right? It's just, it literally fades away. Right. So it starts to get revealed to you what you are, who you are, beyond these masks that we wear and all these things that we do. And it's crazy that we're afraid of it, because it's the most beautiful thing. But here's what happens along the way. It's we have to face our demons. We have to walk through the fire, of that uncertainty, the fears that we have, our projections, our triggers, our traumas, a lot of those things come up when we're sitting in silence. Our judgments of ourselves, right? How we've perceived ourselves, memories will come up of things that we've said and done, and then we want to blame and ostracize and all of that. So Emma, how I talked before about the profane masculine, and that means energy, not man, please don't do that, is right, yes, that profane part that wants to judge and ostracize and condemn rather than understand, have a deeper perspective, have compassion for your journey. So when that starts happening, right, our heart starts to open. And when the masculine and the feminine merge, the outward pour of that is love. It's unconditional love, because it's not judging. It's unconditional love that pours out from that. I like to describe it for people who are visual, like a pendulum, you know, the 5 balls, and you've got right over here. And what we want to do is, like, there's a dance in the middle, right? So it's like the masculine and the feminine, and then coming together, and then all, like, in between those two passageways is life. It's a beautiful dance, and there's silence, and there's noise, there's activity, and there's stillness, there's birth, and there's death. We're not avoiding any of this. This is the form in which we live. Birth and death equally exist, right? All of that is real. All of that is here. And so again, we're either trying to avoid death, or we're rushing to our death, right? This becomes a dance. When these energies are married inside of you, it becomes a beautiful dance. You're able to dance with whatever is in this moment. And it's also very physical. This is actually a physical experience in your nervous system. So in the autonomic nervous system, we have the parasympathetic nervous system. And
the what nervous system?
Parasympathetic.
Parasympathetic, okay.
Yes, they're both part of the autonomic nervous system. So imagine the parasympathetic nervous system like the stillness. So imagine these two nervous systems like running in alignment with each other, and this is calm and still. It doesn't move, it doesn't change, it's just a pure energy. The sympathetic is the one that's like feminine, the vibration. It's moving all around, it's changing, it's fluctuating, it's got the flow, it's right doing all of that. So if your nervous system isn't in alignment and they're all buzzing and all over the place, well, then something happens and your body can't handle it. It can't take that energy in, because the crazy energy from out here comes in here and everything just gets crazier, right? But something can come in, we can experience something, and we can literally sit with it. Now, my attitude before this was like, I got shit to do. I don't got time just to sit. Like, are we supposed to just sit around for half the day and be busy the other half of the day? Like, how does this all work? So not the case. Like, so not the case. So even in this conversation, and I get very lively, I'm animated, I move around, you know, there's this action to me, right?
Never, really?
I know, surprise, surprise, surprise. Okay.
It's like we're polar opposites.
Denise, this is not what I expect when I asked you on this call. But at the same time, I can feel a calmness and a stillness in me. I don't have like big butterflies. I'm not like shaking inside. So yes, I can have an outward expression and be very lively. And there's also a stillness. And trust me, I know the difference in my behavior when that stillness isn't there and I'm not tapped in and I haven't been aligning those two systems. It's like you become a train wreck. Right. Like your conversations, any action that you take is infused with this like erratic energy, and you don't end up creating from a more pure place. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like, what was the process in getting to that place? Because I mean, I know, you know, like I believe that we are born perfect human beings, perfect souls, perfect, you know, and then life happens and people offload their labels, their bullshit, their actions, whatever. We experience traumas, and then we try, you know, spend the rest of our lives trying to make sense of what that means and how that looks, and how that kind of affects us, until we then get to that place of perfection again, to to then live
Right.
somewhat authentically and at peace and whatever. And I also recognize that a lot of people talk about being at peace when realistically their lives are falling apart. Right. I consider myself as somebody who, like, most of the time I'm pretty good. But when I'm feeling like I'm that parasympathetic self, is a little bit wobbly, that's when I need to, personally for me, my process is to then shut people out and just feed myself, not food, but yeah, right. But I'll go for a run, I'll meditate, I'll write a song, I'll spend 2 days just doing stuff for me. And that's how I reconnect with my authentic self. But as an empath, I'm also always absorbing other people's energies. So what is the process for you that kind of allows you to maintain or rediscover that stillness?
Great question. Love it. Love it. So I like to describe it like what we're here doing is remembering. So when you said we are born perfect, we're born in perfection, we're born as the light that we really truly are, right? Mm-hmm. Then that light gets covered up with all the BS that happens to us, the way we perceive the things that have happened. So we end up forgetting, is oh, I forgot, I'm actually the light. So what this process was about, and how I share it with my clients, is we're remembering, we're waking up from a sleep, and we're going, oh, I remember, I just forgot who I am. And I want to say that I feel it's that innocent. I know there's people, and we all have done some shitty things. We've all hurt one another. We've all said and done things. And this isn't to not take responsibility. This isn't to overshadow anything. But when people forget who they are, watch how they act. People who are knowing that they're the light, people who remember who they are, you're not hurting anybody. You're not projecting your shit onto somebody when you know that you're the light. You're shining that light, and your vibration is different. The energy that you're giving off is so much different than when you're like, oh no, what am I? I'm unworthy, and I'm unlovable, and I'm a loser, and I screwed up here, and I shouldn't have said that. And then that energy gets going on, and that's what we end up projecting. So this is like a remembering. So what do I do? There's different things that I do. Talking about being an empath and taking on other people's energies, I think it's really important to do grounding work, being in nature, sitting, feeling dirt, hugging trees. Literally, I don't go for a walk without hugging a tree. I'm just I love you.
You literally hug a tree? I love that.
I literally hug trees.
That's awesome. I
hug trees all the time.
I used to work at an outdoor education school in Connecticut, and I legitimately I would take a group of 7 kids for a walk, and we'd learn about the foliage, and we'd learn about the animals, and we'd build huts and I'd always make them hug trees, and they always thought that I was completely nuts for them. To know that I'm not the only one.
Yep. See, again, I know we're crazy. I knew we'd have this connection. But so again, spending time in nature and just connecting to something larger than my worries, than the stuff that I've got going on in my life and what's going on in the world. It's there's something more here, right? So just grounding, rooting into Mother Earth and connecting really helps me, which also helps to ground. If you think of it like electricity moving through your body, so you're an empath, you're taking in all this energy. Well, you've got all this energy going on. It's like electricity. You want to ground that energy down into the ground. You literally want to expel that energy out of you. So, taking baths and meditating breathing and all of that stuff, any way that you can find to like ground your energy. And meditation is definitely another one, right? Because it's also, I mean, the nervous system obviously is connected to the brain. So I do a lot of like reprogramming of the mind and our thoughts, and changing the neurotransmitters in the brain and the neural pathways. So say something happens. So you think of like the neural pathways in your brain. So something's happened to you, and it happens over and over. We have habits, so we keep repeating. So that's really conditioned in our brain. That's how we see a certain thing, because we've got a pathway built for that. When you take energy away from that way of seeing things, and you start creating new neurotransmitters start firing. So if they start firing differently, you start creating new neural pathways. These ones literally die off. They literally die off, and you create new ones. So if you're not creating new ones, you're running from an old pattern. I love Bruce Lipton, and I can't think of the other guy right now. They do a lot of brain stuff.
Okay.
One of them, what's that?
Yeah, no, carry on.
Yeah, I can't remember. But I remember one thing that really woke me up to this. It just freaked me out when they said it. They basically said, you know, if you don't do anything to reprogram your brain, you're basically a walking robot. You're not really like, you're just, and I'm like, bitch, what? Like, I'm not even like making up my own mind. It's like, no, like you're so conditioned to keep doing the same things every day. You're not even aware of it. You're basically living most of your life as a robot.
Yeah.
That stirred something up in me. I was like, no, not on my watch, girlfriend. That's not happening to me. So one of the most dramatic things that I did to change my brainwaves, my girlfriend Sandy said she was going to run it in a marathon. She was training. So I'm like, oh, I've always wanted to run a marathon. It's now or never. Well, the marathon was in 13 days from the day I made this decision, and I hadn't been training. So I'm like, this will be interesting. So
yeah, so no, I was gonna ask, was it like a 21K marathon?
42.
42K. Okay, so about 21.
21 is half. So
right.
I did the full. So 42.
You're amazing.
So
okay.
So I did walk every day. Like I definitely did some physical activity every day for 13 days. But what I mostly did was retrain my brain. So I did things differently through. I never drove the same way to work. I never ate the same thing. I would drink wine for breakfast, or like things that I would not normally have. I'd have cereal for supper. I'd sleep on the couch. I'd sleep on the upside down in my bed. I never walked the same way. I saw new things every day. It was like my mind was kind of going frizzy, going like, okay, I don't even know what to do. So it wasn't giving me the same messages all the time. It was like, no,
amazing.
I know. So then it was like the day of the race, I lined up on the starting lineup, and it was almost like my brain was like, okay, like, what are we doing? Like, I'll tell you what we're doing, and we're running a marathon today. So that's what happened. And my guru said to me, this was profound. He said a lot of profound things to me. Some of it's just coming to light like all these years later, which I love that. But he said, either you control the donkey or the donkey controls you.
Okay.
So your mind's the donkey.
Gotcha. No, I get that. I guess, no, yeah. One of my favorite sayings is, if you're not growing, you're dying, right?
Yeah.
And personally, for me, at least, I'm one of those annoying people that I have very little comfort zone, because I'm always doing random shit. Nobody, especially in the States, and especially in DC, you know, like my everyday routine is very different. However, to your point, it has definitely changed a lot since this quarantine. I have even less of a routine, so I can do exactly what you're talking about. I can can have wine for breakfast. I can have wine for breakfast, right? That's a thing.
Well, just if you're retraining your brain. I mean, I only do that when I retrain my brain.
No, I love it. I love it. I think it's a really important skill is to be able to figure out how to just mix things up a little bit so that you can um
Right. And Emma, like that's like what is happening for people, right? So when you said you have a little comfort zone, you actually have a large comfort zone, right? So it's like
oh, that's what I
a
mean.
lot of
Yeah.
different things can happen. You know what? Right. I knew what you meant. It's just like you have a very large. Here's the thing though. So most people don't. And even if it is kind of like large, and as soon as something, whatever that is, outside of your comfort zone happens, it literally is a response in your nervous system. It literally is the fight or flight that gets activated in your brain.
Yeah.
And that's, all the anxiety starts coming up. You start getting that energy going through your body, and it's a real thing. Like, it's not like, oh, control. That's not even in your control. That's an actual physical thing that's happening to your body, right? So again, the more in alignment we get that nervous system, then we can make greater space for different things to happen, and we can be with more and more and more uncertainty and need less and less and less illusion of control in our life. And we get to start going with the flow, and guess what? We'll just start living in this moment. That's it. The mind doesn't want to just sit here, right? Our body, the energy doesn't want to just sit here. But really, imagine like narrowly, you've got all this energy in a room, and then you just bring it down into like one single molecule of atom of energy, right? Look what happens. We can split an atom, one atom, boom.
Yeah.
So we concentrate the energy and the focus into one singular moment, which is this one. It's where it's all at. It's not anywhere else.
I love it.
So it really becomes a practice of just being in this moment. What did someone say the other day? Do not worry until there's a problem. And then when there is a problem, just find a solution. So there's never, ever really a problem. I thought that was cool.
I love that. I think because we talked the other day, like when I was talking to JJ the other day, so JJ, or had a conversation with somebody about how fear is like looking too far ahead. We're not focusing on the present. We're not, we're either stuck in the past or we're stuck in the future. We don't have this opportunity to like just be. And again, to your point, here we are. We just are. This
we
is
just
how
are. Right. And the mind and every part of our physiology just wants to say, I don't want to be here. So that was the gift that meditation and a lot of other practices gave me, is it's just so much easier to be in this moment, because there isn't anything happening right now that you can't be with. There's a feeling that you don't like, but that literally is it. Anything else that's happening, you can be with, and then you're in the flow of life, right? The feminine is free to just be in the flow and do what we need to do in any given moment. And then we don't invite this profane masculine energy to express itself through us when we need to control, when we need to know, and this is what needs to get created, and this dominance and this surging energy of control comes out of us in our own lives, in our day-to-day life. So when we're just here, everything that you need is right here. It literally exists right here, right now.
Right in the feelings. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's just here. It's just here. So, how I bring my clients now and the people that I work with to this place is like, we need like, so my journey of healing my relationship with my father was by far the most profound thing that I've ever done in my life, because I literally hated my father, things he did, things he had said, things he had done. It was crazy. And I just thought, like, I'll never get to this place where I'll be able to communicate, connect, or even like find love for my father. And it was a long process, but like we got there in a very profound way. And my father just passed away a year ago in January. And I actually moved in and lived with him for a month before he passed away. And we had the most endearing, deep, intimate, spiritual conversations like ever. I feel like a lifetime was lived in that month. and his passing, like, talk about experiencing peace. I stayed with his body for an hour. I didn't leave the room. You know
Wow.
that saying, there's a peace beyond all understanding?
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. That's what I experienced, that peace does exist. So then, of course, it was like, where did I want some more of that? And again, my whole life, I was running from that experience. Like,
Right.
lo and behold, I wanted it, but it was like, I don't want to be quiet. I don't want to be still. It's like, well, how are you going to find peace? How are you going to find serenity if you're never just here in this moment? And
Yeah.
stop trying, to get to the future, think about the past, all of that. There's a profound peace here. So what I do is I specifically help women to heal their relationship with their father. So it's called intergenerational healing, right? So we go through the generations. Shit that I went through with my dad, guess what? His dad possessed those same qualities and behaviors, and his dad did, and my great-great-grandfather. It's ancestral. It's just like, I don't even know if the shit we're experiencing is even our shit. I think it's theirs, that we just carry it in our cellular memory, which honestly, there is a lot to that. We do.
Mm-hmm.
So the generational healing, right? Starting with the father, then what I discovered is my behavior and that my interaction with the masculine energy and male lovers in my life, same shit was coming up. How I guarded my heart with my dad, I did the same behavior with my ex-husband and my lovers,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, hey, there's a pattern here. And then, develop these relationships with my two sons, same dynamic going on, right? There's this pattern. So it's like, we need to stop, the cycle of old beliefs of abuse, whether that's sexual, emotional, psychological, all of that is there. So going to like the primordial relationship in our life, that being of our father, ooh, girlfriend, that opened some shit up.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And I just like,
I'm only just because I remember, like, I met you just after your father passed, and
right.
it wasn't long after, like, because what was the
He
date?
passed away in January and we met April.
Yeah, but my father passed away in January 2018. I remember talking about that with you. Yes.
Yes.
And so as you're talking about this, I'm like, oh yeah, a lot of the conversations that I had with my father, were based on the fact that he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
So much. So again, even just that. So that's abandonment. He wasn't there. So then we have these feelings of being abandoned, right?
Yeah.
But then you look for a lover to like save you, or you're convinced that he's gonna leave or he's gonna abandon you. So you either jump ship before he abandons you, or you cling and this, you become clingy and just like this type of energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we start there, it's just like the healing automatically starts transferring through these other relationships. But we just dive deeper on each one. So it's profound work. It's magical. It's so healing. I feel blessed to be gifted. Like when I look back on my life now, it's like this program coming to me. I feel like all the puzzle pieces of my life have come together for me to do this work. It's like, oh, that's why this happened. That's why, oh my God. Like my program, like I've lived it. Like I've literally lived this and experienced it.
That's
so
awesome.
It's just flowing.
Alicia says we have the power to break generational patterns and heal ancestral wounds. Once we heal, we attract different and better. Preach.
So true. Yep.
Preach. Awesome. You're great, Denise. Thank you so much.
Are you kidding me? I love connecting with you and just sharing. Like, here's the other thing, like what's happening is people that are, feeling drawn to like be the light. Like now there's no time to hold back. Like we can't afford to. It's just like, you know what, lose your insecurities, get over yourself. If someone's gonna think you're weird, they've thought I'm weird my whole life. So what have I got to lose? I've got people to love, hearts to heal, hearts to open. I give 2 I'll say S, not F, but I give two shits what you think about that. Because here's the thing. The other thing, it's not personal. It's
Yeah.
not personal, right? It's like going, if there's darkness and you go into a dark room and you flick the light switch on, it hurts the eyes. It's too bright. It's like, so the resistance that they are expressing towards you, it's just like, no, just to stay away. So don't ever, that was a huge
Okay.
growth for me. It's like,
So basically what you're saying is the haters in your life are like the rhodopsin burning in your eyes. No? Okay.
No. But here's the thing. Let's just say like the haters, let's call them haters. Yeah, they have hate in their hearts. It's not about me. I can absolutely, for sure, guarantee that hate was planted way before you ever met me in your life.
Word.
But something that I could say or something that I do will activate the hurt in you. And I know my presence and what it does activate people's shit, because that's what I'm here to do, is transmute that energy. So up until this point of not realizing how this works, freaking tough. Like, it was devastating, right? Because everybody was projecting their shit, which is what everyone experiences, right? People are projecting their shit onto you. And now it's just like, I can be with it in a really profound way because I don't take it personal. I'm not running from it. And it's just like, I see that you're in pain. I know where this is coming from, you know? And, you know, healing. And again, it's just healing that masculine energy in us that's just like hurting and wants to be held. Like, it's like you want to be held by like a divine mother.
Yeah.
We also miss that divine mother love, the soft, the gentle. You know, I had a lot of masculine energy. I want to offer that soft, gentleness as well, right?
That's awesome.
It's a safe place to land.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Okay, so we've got 5 minutes left. We don't really have many questions, but one person said that they find it difficult being vulnerable with their mentally. Did you want to talk about that at all? I feel like we've covered that a little bit, but
yeah, being vulnerable with their like mentally being vulnerable, like speaking. Yeah. No, for sure. And again, it's like a lot of that is about the fear of what other people are going to say and think, and how you're going to be judged. And also that vulnerability is, to be vulnerable, we have to be open. We have to be open. We have to open up that heart, because our expression comes from within. So when we express ourselves, it's vulnerable because that we really feel it if somebody says something, because we've opened.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, just recognizing where it's coming from, and who you really are can't be touched. Nobody can mess with who you really are. So they're only, right? They're only hurting your little ego self that goes, don't you like me? Don't you think I'm pretty? Don't you think I'm smart? Oh, you don't like, that's just your ego.
Yeah.
Who you really are can't be not liked. How do you not like your true essence? There's nothing there, right? It's not, but that's
one of my favorite things that I like to live by is by me being vulnerable, it allows them to be vulnerable as well. So you're not just like, by being the light, you're allowing them to show up and be their light as well. Another person being a light only makes the light brighter.
Exactly. Totally. Yeah, you illuminating gives people permission to illuminate, and they feel safe, and it's just like, oh, okay, so great. I love that.
Love it.
I knew this was gonna go so fast.
I know, right? It's crazy. Where can people get in touch with you?
So on my website, so www.deniseanderson.net. They can find me there. And really, I'm pretty much just on Facebook. Like, connect with me on Facebook, message me. I'd love to share. I don't know if we'll have the opportunity, but maybe on my site I'll share my YouTube video that I literally just created that shows kind of what my program is and how it works. Yay. It talks a lot about the masculine and the feminine energy. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Denise. You are a rock star.
I really,
really appreciate you being here and sharing your magic and your light with me and other humans around the world. Awesome. And thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity and providing this platform and showing up as your brilliant, beautiful, intelligent, amazing, creative, loving, kind self.
You made me blush a little bit.
Girl, take it in.
All those things you just said, here's a mirror.
Exactly. I felt
lifting them back.
It's like, hey, I will break that shield for you, okay? That's what I'm here to do. Don't be guarding your heart around me. Let this love in, okay? Let it in.
Love it. I've got no one else to hug me, so
I know.
Besides my cat, I'll just hug myself.
Reach out and hug yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Awesome. All right, girlfriend. Thank you. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll connect soon.
You too. Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Love you. Bye. Thanks everybody for watching.